If Naruto and Sasuke were to fight Code, would they stand a chance against him? Starting with Naruto and Sasuke, at their peaks they are shown to be able to defeat fused Momoshiki. In fact, even the Hokage, who were much weaker than Naruto and Sasuke, could press base Momoshiki. Base Naruto also has scaling over fused Momoshiki, given how an injured base Naruto with less than 50% of Kurama's chakra generated a Rasengan powerful enough to overpower and kill a fused Momoshiki with more than 50% of Kurama's chakra that he absorbed from Naruto. And if we were to go off strong connections, we know that Sasuke is quite capable of holding his own against a fully serious Naruto as an equal, thus making a full power Sasuke even stronger than weakened base Naruto that scales above fused Momoshiki. In other words, Naruto and Sasuke are no joke, and this is seen with Naruto easily beating Delta while not even giving it his own, and everyone acknowledging that Delta has no chance of taking on Naruto. And even after losing a very large portion of their powers against Ishiki, Naruto and Sasuke are still implied to be stronger than the likes of Boruto and Kawashiki. We also know that before going to attack Naruto, Jigen specifically went to take chakra from the Ten Tails, implying that Naruto may have been too much for Jigen had he not been numbed by the Ten Tails. This is consistent with Kawaki outright confirming that Naruto is probably stronger than Jigen. Meanwhile, as for Code, we don't know much about him other than him possibly scaling above Delta, and him scaling above Jigen with his limiters removed. It's blatantly wrong to assume that Code must scale over Naruto and Sasuke because they lost to Jigen, as Jigen at the time they fought him was amped by the Ten Tails, and even then he was at his limit after fighting them. Code being stronger than Jigen is likely in reference to Jigen without the Ten Tail amp, since Zamato is describing a past event where Code exceeded Jigen's power way before he stole the chakra from the Ten Tails, and Amadou has never seen a Ten Tails amped Jigen to begin with. Needless to say, there is nothing to suggest that Jigen is stronger than Naruto and Sasuke without the amp, and in fact this idea is outright contradicted. Not to mention that Code cannot absorb ninjutsu and cannot replenish himself while doing so like Jigen could, which is the only real reason that Jigen wasn't killed even with a Ten Tail amp. So even if Code was physically stronger than an amped Jigen, that won't mean that he can beat Naruto and Sasuke. After all, being unable to use ninjutsu is a huge nerf in Naruto. Imagine how Naruto vs Kakuzu, Sasuke vs Itachi, or Naruto and Sasuke vs Madara would have went if Naruto and Sasuke weren't able to use any ninjutsu whatsoever. It's also noteworthy that Sasuke managed to block a blow from Ishiki and survived a beating from him, and it's implied that he could have hurt Ishiki with his Chidori, and this suggests that Naruto's Rasengan does have attack potency greater than Ishiki's, which means that while Ishiki is physically stronger than Naruto, Naruto's ninjutsu move scales above Ishiki's power. And since Code's benchmark and point of comparison is always Jigen and not Ishiki, this implies that Ishiki is still way beyond Code's level, and in turn Naruto and Sasuke's ninjutsu should scale over Code, and they would be able to survive any attack Code can throw at them. And about Amadou's statements about how Code may be stronger than Naruto, first of all, that's in reference to a nerfed Naruto, not a prime Naruto, and second of all, that's just Amadou trying to manipulate Kawaki to have him agree to getting a new karma, since even Amadou himself admitted that he has no idea how strong Naruto is without Kurama. In fact, even early into the manga, it's implied that Kara's files underestimated how strong Naruto was without Kurama. Amadou's guesswork is also debunked by feats, the narrative of the show, as well as more reliable statements. Boruto, who can literally sense chakra and has seen Sage Mode Naruto during the Code fight, holds Naruto and Sasuke on a higher regard than himself and Kawashiki in terms of power, even after Naruto and Sasuke were nerfed. Both Boruto with Karma and Kawashiki were shown to be superior to Code, and in fact Code was viewed as a complete joke to the same Burushiki that was struggling with a nearly dead one-eyed Sasuke, and weaker version of Momoshiki than the one that base Naruto's Rasengan overpowered and killed. Code is also stated to be no different to Momoshiki than Boru, who was one-shot and killed by a Rasengan made from the nearly dead and unconscious base Naruto's power. Not to mention that the moment Naruto showed up to the battlefield, Code immediately forgot about his battle with Burushiki and took a hostage to try to avoid fighting Naruto, implying that Naruto is not only a bigger threat than Momoshiki, but also that Naruto is too much for Code to handle. And the whole reason Code even sought to remove his limiters in the first place is because he wasn't confident that he can beat a nerfed Naruto or a nerfed Sasuke in a 1v1, so not even Code has confidence in his power. It's even very likely that a nerfed Sasuke has scaling over no limiters Code given their encounter shown in part 2. Sasuke literally took on Code along with an entire army of Quogrimes by himself, and Code charged at him head on ahead of the Quogrimes with full killing intent, and yet the next page we see the aftermath with Sasuke still alive and the army of Quogrimes defeated except for one that managed to turn Sasuke into a tree. I don't think that enough people realize the implications of this. For Sasuke to have defeated the army of Quogrimes while also clashing with Code simultaneously, Sasuke must be stronger and faster than Code. Otherwise, if Code was stronger than Sasuke or even equal to him, Sasuke wouldn't have been able to overpower Quogrimes while simultaneously trading blows with Code. In fact, since we know that Code clashed with Sasuke first since he was ahead of the Quogrimes when charging charging at Sasuke, Code would have already overpowered and beat Sasuke before he could beat any claw grinds, let alone all of them, if Code was stronger and faster, which didn't happen. And even if Code was only equal to Sasuke, then still they would be evenly matched, and thus Sasuke would be incapable of taking out claw grinds while simultaneously clashing with Code. Essentially, Code was literally in a 10v1 against Sasuke, and he still failed to kill him. The fact that Sasuke is alive in the first place implies that Code was likely too injured or drained to continue fighting and had to escape, or else Sasuke won't be alive at all given the narrative of Code being a crazy Ishiki worshipper who would kill anyone involved in Ishiki's defeat, not making any exceptions even if Ada, who had him captivated, wanted him to spare someone on the list. What this would imply is that the nerfed Sasuke that we see stalemated Code along with the Claw Grimes army. While it's entirely possible that Sasuke got stronger by the time of the battle, this version of Sasuke is still included in the videos, so that doesn't matter, and besides it's very unlikely that an year of training managed to make up for losing the Rinnegan and being left with a single Y which is stated to exponentially nerf the user. And although this is a bit iffy, a baby Ninetales is able to overpower Himawari, who put a better fight against Jura than an adult Kawaki. So even as a shadow of his former self, Kurama is already at least half the power that was used to fight Jura, and therefore scales over Kawaki. So Kurama alone should have scaling to Code. Overall, Naruto and Sasuke would absolutely clown Code in a fight, and it's not even close. Baryon mode isn't even needed for this, and honestly I think they can win this individually. The only way Code stands any chance is if it's a no-limiters Code and he's fighting a nerfed Naruto or a nerfed Sasuke in a 1v1. Otherwise, he's losing anytime. In a 1v2, they would probably beat him. If he fights the version of Sasuke that was rogue 1 year after leaving the village, he is losing. And if he fights Naruto and Sasuke in their prime, even individually, he is pretty much done for.